All right, here are some questions reviewing some of the properties in this lesson, with providing some help for the checkpoint questions and some more examples for you. Okay, so this question asks, what's the measure of angle 2? So here's angle 2. What do we have in this picture? Well, notice we have a triangle. We have angle 1, angle 2, and then a 48-degree angle. We also have an exterior angle for the triangle. So we ask ourselves, we can't use the triangle sum theorem because we only know one of the angles in the triangle. We can, however, use the exterior angle theorem because we have an exterior angle, one of the remote interiors, and we're looking for the final remote interior. So remember, the way the exterior angle theorem is set up is that the exterior angle is equal to the two remote interiors added together. And I'm going to abbreviate a little bit. Okay, so what was our exterior angle? It was 98 degrees. One remote interior was the 48-degree angle. The other was the angle 2 that we're looking for. Okay, we want to solve for angle 2. So we have a positive 48. If we subtract 48 from both sides, we get 50. So the measure of angle 2 is 50 degrees. Okay, so always make sure when you're using the exterior angle, write this part out first so you make sure you put the exterior angle here and the two remote interiors here. Okay, here's another example, a little more complicated. It says, what's the measure of angle x? Well, once again, we have this crazy, we do have a triangle here in the middle. We have an exterior angle here, and we have an, well, this isn't technically an exterior angle because we extended both sides of the triangle. Here's a remote interior, here's a remote interior. Well, one thing we know from our properties is that this angle and this angle are congruent because they are vertical angles. Remember when we had two angles in an intersection across from one another, those were called vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. I'm now going to ignore this part of the drawing. Okay, and now all I have is a triangle. I have an exterior and two remote interiors. And I know that the exterior angle is equal to the two remote interiors added together. Okay, so let's set that up. The exterior angle was 93 degrees. The remote interiors that go with it, one of them was x, and the other we found was 40. We can solve this, and we'll have the value for angle x. I'd have to subtract 40 from both sides, and I would get x by itself. 93 minus 40 is 53 degrees. So the measure of angle x is 53 degrees. Okay, here's one in words. The measure of one of the acute angles in a right triangle is 42.8. What is the measure of the other acute angle? So let's take a look at what we have. Well, first of all, we have a right triangle. So let's draw that out. What does right triangle mean? Well, it's a triangle that has a right angle. What else do we know? It says the measure of one of the acute angles. Notice the other two angles have to be acute. One of them, it says, is 42.8 degrees. They want to know what's the measure of the other angle. I'm going to call it x. Well, we know we have three interior angles here. This one is 90 degrees, a right angle. This is 42.8. We're not sure what this one is, but we do know the sum of the interior angles in a triangle should be 180. So x plus 42.8 plus 90, those are my three angles. Together, those should be 180, and I solve from there. The 42.8 and a 90, I'm going to add those together. We get 132.8, so we have x plus 132.8 equals 180. We need to solve from there. We would subtract 132.8 from both sides. And when we do, we get 47.2. So the measure of the other acute angle in the triangle was 47.2. Right here, we're asked to find the measure of angle T. So once again, we look at what we have here. We have a triangle with one of its interior angles, and we also have an exterior angle for that triangle. Angle T, I'm going to just put a T here. Angle T we don't know the measure of, but notice it is one of the remote interiors, and we have the other. So we start with our equation. Our property for exterior angles says that the exterior angle is equal to the two remote interiors added together. So remote interior plus remote interior. Fill in the information we have. Do we know the exterior angle? Yep, we do. The exterior angle was 96 degrees. What was the two remote interior angles are the two interior angles it's not touching, so that's the 35 degrees and the T. So it should equal 35 plus whatever T is. I want to know what T is, so I'm going to subtract 35 to remove it from this side and do the same on the other side of the equation. And 96 minus 35 gives me 61 degrees. So I know that the measure of angle T is 61 degrees. Okay, in this one we're asked to find the measure of angle ADB. So an angle located at D, going from A to D to B. Here's my angle I'm looking for. I'm going to put an X there so I know that's what I'm looking for. Well, what information do we know? So look at anything marked. We have two triangles, one here and one here. But also look at this marking and this marking. What do those mean? Hopefully remember that means that you have parallel lines. And we're going to use our parallel lines properties. So these two lines are parallel. Notice our line from B to D is a transversal. And one thing we knew about parallel lines is that alternate interior angles are congruent. This 28-degree angle and this angle here at B are alternate interiors, so they should be congruent, making this angle 28 degrees also. Now we have a triangle, and we know 2 out of the 3 angles. We also know that the 3 angles in a triangle should add to be 180. So X, our missing angle, plus 28 degrees, plus 64 degrees. Those are my 3 angles in the triangle. Together should be 180. I total the 28 and 64 to get 92. That gives me X plus 92 is 180, and I solve from there. I have a plus 92, so I do the opposite and subtract 92 from both sides. And I get a sum of, or an answer of 88 degrees. So I can use 2 things to solve this problem. I used the fact that parallel lines create alternate interior angles that are congruent, and I used the triangle sum theorem, that 3 angles in a triangle have a sum of 180.